Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, welcome to Huda TV's ongoing coverage of Hajj. Well, technically Hajj is over now. Eid Mubarak to all of you, my dear brothers and sisters. We are on the third day of Eid, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from all of us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from all the Hujjaj that were there this year, and to reward them, and to make them go back to their homes as their mother bore them, absolutely with no sins. And I hope that all of us benefited in this Hajj season. And the biggest benefit that we can get, whether the people who went to Hajj this year or those of us who are watching the Hujjaj, as you were watching the Hujjaj here on Huda TV or whatever channel you were watching the Hujjaj on, is to implement, my dear brothers and sisters, the things that we learned at Hajj. Because Hajj really is a training camp for Muslims, a spiritual training camp. A camp where we learn a lot about how to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how to have better relations with people, how to be good both to Muslims and to non-Muslims, how to be united as a Muslim ummah. We talked about all these meanings for many hours in the past few days. But all of this is really of no use if we just come for a few days during the period of Hajj and we implement these meanings, and we live these meanings, and we talk a lot, and we perform a lot of good deeds, but then we go back to our homes, and we go back to our home countries, and we go back to our masajid, and we go back to our Muslim communities, and there's no implementation in our daily lives. There's no reflection in our daily lives. There's nothing that we're doing, my dear brothers and sisters, that reflects and that shows that we actually learned something at Hajj. Obviously, we don't want that to be the case. Imagine, my dear brothers and sisters, what the effect would be on the entire Muslim ummah if 2 or 3 million people, like the number of people that were at Hajj this year and the number that's usually at Hajj every year, if these people decided that they're going to change and they're going to implement the lessons, how much do you think the ummah, the entire ummah, would change if 3 million people in it changed? Obviously a lot. We'll see the whole ummah in a different situation. And imagine if that happens over a 10-year period, right? 3 million people every single year by 10 years. So 30 million Muslims, let's assume that all of them are new Hujjaj every year. So about 30 million Muslims every single year for a 10-year period. How much would the ummah change in 10 years? Definitely a lot. But the sad reality, my dear brothers and sisters, is that a lot of people, they go to Hajj, they perform Hajj. They say, Alhamdulillah, I've performed the 5th pillar of Islam. I'm now Hajji such and such, and people call me Hajji such and such. They go back home and they really forget all the meanings that they learned in Hajj. And the dunya takes them again. We can't be those people. We can't be those people, my dear brothers and sisters. We have to be from amongst the people that really implement what they learned. And that's why tonight in this episode, we want to talk, my dear brothers and sisters, about this issue. We're going to have a discussion for approximately an hour about this issue. The issue of the lessons that we learned, the lessons that we've been talking about, the lessons that people practically learned at Hajj or that we learned through seeing them at Hajj. How can we implement them in our daily lives? How can we implement them in our Muslim communities? How can we implement them at our masajid? Like, for example, unity, right? We've learned a whole lot about unity, about how people at Hajj, no matter what color they are, what country of origin they're from, what language they speak, what color their skin is or their hair or the color of their eyes, they're all the same. And they're all together at this Hajj season, and they're all worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as we heard from the shuyukh many times over the past few days, that everyone there, no matter what passport they carry one thing in their heart. La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah. Inshallah, we're going to go ahead, inshallah, my dear brothers and sisters, and take a short break. When we come back, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, we will start talking with our guests about how we can implement these lessons that we learned in Hajj. So please stay with us. alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, welcome back to our continuing coverage here on Huda TV of Hajj 2013, 1,434 years after the hijrah of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, as we said in the first segment, Hajj is technically over, but the lessons that we have learned and that we should implement in our daily lives when we go back home definitely are not. Inshallah, we're going to be talking in this segment whether you're one of the people who are at Hajj this year or one of the many people who are watching Huda TV or any other channel and you saw the Hajjaj this year, there are tons of lessons that we all have learned from Hajj and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained for us to learn from this beautiful and this great experience of Hajj, both spiritual, physical, emotional, there are many aspects to it. But the most important thing after having your Hajj being accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is for you to implement the lessons that you've learned in your daily lives. And I'm joined by two very special guests in this segment, inshallah, to talk about these lessons and how we can implement them in our lives. My first guest is someone that all of you know. He's been here many times, alhamdulillah, especially on our program, The Straight Path. Sheikh Shabir, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thanks for taking the time to be with us.
Good to be here.
Jazakallah khair. Barakallah feek. And my second guest is Brother Walid Khalil. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. From the UK, right?
From the UK.
MashaAllah. Representing, MashaAllah. Barakallah feek. Sheikh Shabir, I want to begin by asking you, there are many lessons that we've learned during Hajj. Maybe we didn't get a chance to go this year, but us and many of the viewers have seen the Hujjaj on television. They've seen many things that they have done. But the fact is, most people, they don't change after they go back. Is Hajj something, that's seasonal, that's only that you should have these good manners, that you should be united with your fellow brothers and sisters from all over the world, that you should be sacrificing your time and your effort, and you should be patient, all these things, are they only for those 5 days of Hajj or for that Hajj journey, or are they something that should be implemented in our lives when we go back home?
I think that Hajj is one of the lessons for Muslims when you're together is to pick up all the hopefully good things from all the different cultures from all over the world. People all come from all corners of the world with one intention, and that is to have their sins wiped off and hopefully go back like a newborn baby.
Yeah.
And I think that what they shouldn't forget is when they go back that they are a newborn baby and they have a fresh start. So whatever they should look and look at their life previously and whatever issues and problems they have, if they haven't cleared them and they haven't changed, then they really haven't achieved much. So it's very important that when people go back, people see a visual change in these people. And that will not just affect them, it will affect the society around them. I think it's very important that when you go back, it gives you time, 4, 6 weeks, whatever it takes you, to leave your home and go to Hajj and then go back.
Yes.
That time is time of reflection. It's time on your own, and you really think that, what is it that not been right with me? And how can I affect the community, the society that I left and I'm going back to?
Yeah.
It's very important that you take some positive lessons from Hajj, and in that time, 4, 6 weeks, you make a plan that when you're going to go back, inshallah, you will change yourself and you will help others change as well.
Yeah. Jazakallah khair. Barakallah feek. Brother Walid, I was saying in the first segment that imagine that we have approximately 3 million Muslims that go to Hajj every year. So imagine over a 10-year span, approximately, if we assume that every person that goes to Hajj is a new person, then we have between 25 million to 30 million Muslims who've been to Hajj. And if in that same 10-year period, we assume that these 30 million people out of approximately 1.5 billion Muslims in the world, if they decide to change their lives and their communities, would you think that the entire ummah would change if 30 million people decided to make that change after being to Hajj?
Wallahi, that'll be a nice thing if the whole ummah could change like that, but To be honest, it depends on the individuals. You
Yeah.
know, if depends what they want to achieve after going to Hajj, and why they're going to Hajj, and what they achieved while being at Hajj. For instance, some people might want to go Hajj because they have the title. You know, I've been to Hajj, I've seen the Kaaba, and so on. And the main thing is, you know, a person needs to be sincere and know that you're sincerely doing this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you're not seeking no other reward other but His reward. Because some people might just want to go, like for instance, when I went to Hajj, I went and I had the experience that the people I went with, one person, he came all the way there, and unfortunately he got struck by diarrhea, and this was a couple of days just before we was about to, you know, perform Hajj. And unfortunately he didn't even get the chance to perform Hajj because he was hit by diarrhea.
He didn't even get a chance to go to Arafah?
No, he not even get a chance to leave the hotel. We was there in Mecca, we were about to go and perform, and he had to stay because he couldn't leave the toilet. He had to stay with the, you know. So depending, you know, you will get tested and so on and so on. But getting back to your point, when a person goes to Hajj, he has to know that, you know, he wants to be a new person, new husband, new brother, new son, new daughter, new, you know, a new person altogether. So him coming back and, you know, encouraging other people to go for Hajj is a good thing. But me to say that the whole rest of the people will change based on a few people going, you know, I couldn't say.
Yeah.
But, you know, it would be nice that Ummah could change, but, you know, we have to leave this, you know, in the hands of Allah, because, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the ayah in the Quran that, you know, if the person sincerely wants to change, Allah will help them to change.
Definitely.
But depending on the individuals themselves, if they want to change, and the people that are around them or in the community that wants to change are willing to change, then Allah will aid them in this, you know, issue to change, inshallah. And that's it. So
Jazakallah khair. Allah yabarak feek. Barakallah feek. Sheikh Shabir, let's get into specifics now. If we're people who are at Hajj this year, or if we're people who are watching the Hujjaj this year, for the Hujjaj especially, what lessons should they learn and continue to do while when they go back home?
I think it's...
What would be the number one lesson?
What would be the number one lesson? The number one lesson would be that we really have to realize that there's something wrong with our communities, with our societies, and it's accepting. And this is where we live today, a life of denial. Muslims all over the world, we don't see anything wrong with us. We don't see anything wrong with our communities. It's that realization that there is something broken. And we need to think carefully and see how we can repair it and how we can put it right. I think that one lesson, if that realization that we're not going to be perfect, we're not created to be perfect, but at least we must try our best to first of all realizing that, you know, that we need to change, and then it's also that little respect for others. You know, I realize all the Hujjaj that come back, they often become permanent. You know, they pray 5 times. That is something they gain. That's a big gain. But when it comes to the ma'amalat, the dealings with people, it's very important. It's very important that people see change in that as well, because that is equally as important.
Jazakallah khair. Barakallah feek. Brother Walid, obviously, subhanAllah, when we come back and we change things in our lives, knowing that, alhamdulillah, you know, people who have been to Hajj, there are people who changed that part in their life where they pray 5 times a day. I want you to tell me, mashallah, you've been to Hajj. How old are you, by the way, if you don't
27.
mind? 27, mashallah. How old were you when you went to Hajj?
I went in 2011, which was free. I was about 24.
That was 2 years ago?
2011, about 3 to 2 years ago.
Mashallah. So you were 24, 25?
Yeah, something like this.
Mashallah. So you went as a young person.
Yeah.
What has personally changed in your life that you felt has changed in your life once you got back?
Like our beloved brother said, that when a person goes, he knows that he will come back, inshallah, because you know there's many hadiths or many hadiths that mentions the benefits or the reward of Hajj, and one of them is that a person will come back to having, you know, his, you know, bad sins or actions wiped off. And you know the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh mentioning that the umrah to another umrah, it cleans from umrah to another umrah, it cleans off your sins. And there's no other reward except the Hajj, except for paradise. And we hope that, you know, all the people that went to Hajj is sincere, so they will go to Jannah, inshallah. What affected me is that I saw a lot of people, and it was a lot of tests, and you know, I had a lot of my friends around me, and while we was performing Hajj, one of them had, you know, he got struck by diarrhea, and as you know, there's billions of people there, and everyone wants to use the toilets, and
not billions technically. It feels like there are billions, right?
But you know what I mean. So there's millions of people, and there's only a few toilets.
You remind me actually of part of our coverage earlier before Hajj on the 7th night. We were talking to Sheikh Shadi Sulaiman on the phone, and he said something amazing. He's like, this year it's different. There are technically less people because of the construction that's going on, you know, and all that. But it still feels like there's so many people. Because no matter, you know, how many people you have there, it technically feels that there's, you just see like floods of people, mashallah. Something beautiful, alhamdulillah. So it does feel like billions.
Indeed, it does. You just see white everywhere. So one of my friends, he got you know, he got hit by the diarrhea, and I had to beg people that was like maybe about to go in the toilet, but been waiting for a couple of hours to. I says, please let my friend use it, because you know he's gonna, you know, damage his ihram, you know, his the bottom bit of his, you know, the towel he wears for performing Hajj. And one of the things, you have to be patient, and you have to hope that when you come back, you can't fall into backbiting, or you can't fall into the same kind of lifestyle, you know, you was before you went to Hajj. And you know, it's little simple things that you might not, you know, take notice of. Do you understand? Like, and you have to set an example to your, you know, the people around you that you went to Hajj, and you know it affected your life, because it's an experience that's going to happen once in your life. And if you can perform it, and inshallah, try and make it as if it's, you know, your last Hajj. And because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, you know, the person that's able to perform Hajj, make him go and perform Hajj. If you have the means and the wealth to go, you have to go, and try your best to go, because you might not get the opportunity ever again. And alhamdulillah, by permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I got the chance to go. And if I have the chance to go again, I'll go again. And I would encourage everyone to go. And it's a beautiful experience. You see everyone from all type of, you know, backgrounds, nations, colors, different culture, different understanding, different languages, different, you know, people dealing with people. People don't speak your language, but you still prostrate into the same Lord. And, you know, rather if you're rich or poor, you're all wearing the same thing. There's no question about it. And that's I can't say any more than that.
Jazakallah khair. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward, inshallah. Sheikh Shabir, I saw that you're shaking your head when he's talking about, it's something that you, I guess you were reminiscing, you know, when he's talking about that it's going to be, it's really a once in a lifetime opportunity, because you never know when you can go back. Inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the chance to go back, inshallah. Inshallah, my dear brothers and sisters, we want to go ahead and take a look at a report that we have prepared for you to see how the officials in Saudi Arabia are working hard in order to provide services for the Hujjaj. So go ahead and take a look, inshallah.
Welcome, Huda TV viewers from all around the world. I'm reporting to you in Jeddah at the Hilton after wrapping up Hajj 1433 2012. As you know, we were the gracious guests of our gracious host of the Ministry of Culture and Information here in the KSA. And today I'm joined by a very, very special guest. He is the Undersecretary of Foreign Affairs for the Ministry of Culture and Information, none other than Mr. Dr. Abdulaziz Ibn Salama. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Huda TV.
Alaikum assalam, and welcome Al Huda channel in the in the holy places.
Thank you so much. On behalf of all the pilgrims and all the guests of the ministry, you provided a wonderful and excellent service that really made us enjoy and perform and cover Hajj in a very comfortable way. Doctor, how many months do you spend preparing these events and preparing for Hajj coverage?
Well, in reality, we start just after finishing Al-Hajj season, but we start to execute our plan. We make a plan every year, how many TV and networks and channels are going to be present in order to cover Al-Hajj, how many press agencies, radios, newspapers, and also the new media recently. And we start putting our plan into action 2 months before Ramadan. We work very hard and in coordination with the Saudi embassies around the world. We're also in coordination with the media institutions, intellectual centers, thinking centers, etc., in order to select amongst those who apply for Al-Hajj, those who have not done it before, and those who are worthy of it. When it comes to, we take into consideration what they have done, their credibility, their professionalism, their contributions to the Muslim world and also to humanity as in general. So it's a long process that includes many activities, as you have seen in the holy places, from the reception of the guests at the airport, clearing their equipment, providing them with shooting permits, coordinating with the different institutions, personalities that they want to interview, making it possible for them to circulate in this congested area that is, packed with hundreds of thousands of Muslims during this time. And also, when they need advice, when they need help in contacts, and also regarding media professionals, health service, the places that are appropriate for shooting and making interviews, if they need uplinks, if they need to upload their material to whatever channel they represent, this is also possible and instantaneous. So it's a bundle of services that we provide, the purpose of which is to make it possible to convey what's happening in the holy places to the viewers wherever in the world, with the maximum precision possible, with total clarity and the way things go, and also those who make pilgrimage. This will enable their relatives, their families, their friends, those who know them, colleagues, etc., to also live with them. Even I cannot say virtually, but
I see your point.
It's
share
the experience, and also be sure that they are doing their Hajj in the best conditions possible.
Inshallah.
The other thing is that to the non-Muslims, also they are interested in seeing what's going on in this unique gathering, whether in number or in place, doing the same rituals along a certain period of time. This is also interesting for non-Muslims. And many Muslims are curious to know about what happens during this. And also, for the Saudi Arabia, it's keen on making the viewers, the media be part of this unique gathering, unique event, exactly.
Dr. Abdulaziz, to be quite honest, it's very impressive the way you have organized, and the KSA government in general, and of course your ministry in particular. It's really impressive how you provided these services and have done so really in an amazing way. Having said that, do you plan to introduce any new services or change the way you have organized things for the next coming Hajj, inshallah?
The way things are organized during Al-Hajj season by the Ministry of, in the past, the Ministry of Information, now Ministry of Culture and Information, you can imagine that every year there is new improvement. There are new things that are taken into account. It's never about the basic services are there, but also there are other services that are added in order to cope with the situation, with the needs. I mean, let's imagine that 15, 20 years ago there was no internet. Now there is an internet, there is a new media. You have news sites on the internet that belong to major news institutions. You have bloggers, you have internet forums, etc. So these are taken into account. Also, in the past, it was, as you know, for TV in particular, I mean, it's a complex process. Now it's much easier with the SNGs that are portable, that one can take wherever in the same car or in the same lab, as you can imagine. And also, we get feedback from those who utilize, the beneficiaries of these services, that helped us to take into account, theoretically different scenarios that might happen.
Sure.
When it's raining heavily, coverage when it's very sunny. I mean, taking into account all weather conditions as well. And so far, for the last, let's say, 10 years, things have improved a lot, thanks to, the means that have been put at the disposal of the media institutions and media professionals, and also thanks to the facilities that are provided by the new information technologies.
Of course, yeah.
And in the future, I think that there will be much improvement, inshallah.
Inshallah. Dr. Abdulaziz, sir, I certainly thank you for your time. On behalf of all the pilgrims that have performed Hajj this year, I certainly appreciate the great services that your ministry has provided. Thank you so
very
much.
And welcome, and I hope, inshallah, that your Hajj is blessed, and hope to see you next time.
Thank you so
inshallah.
much. You guys, that's it for here in Jeddah. Brother Malik Evangelatos, Huda TV.
That was the interview with Brother Malik Evangelatos. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him from last year's Huda TV's Hajj coverage. Inshallah, this year, as you know, alhamdulillah, we are continuing our coverage with you, as you saw in the past few days. And technically, even though we're not in Hajj anymore, we're still, my dear brothers and sisters, talking about the lessons that we have learned from Hajj and that we can implement in our lives. We only have a few minutes remaining in this segment, inshallah. I want to take advantage that Sheikh Shabir is with us. I want you to tell us, now alhamdulillah, that we understand this concept of, making sure that we, apply these lessons of Hajj in our lives. As you were telling me also a little bit earlier in the break, that the show is not over yet. How can we make sure we capitalize on that, knowing, that the human in general forgets often? And maybe, we will remember the lessons of Hajj for the next couple of weeks, some good people for the next couple of months. But how can we, keep these lessons implemented in our lives for many years to come and for the rest of our lives, and pass them on even to our children and to our communities and members of our communities who did not go to Hajj and maybe may not be able to go to Hajj?
I think that one of the benefits of being at Hajj is that spiritually you feel so strong.
Yes.
And you feel that you're under focus, and you feel that you're closer to the Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yes.
When Hajj is over and you go back, you feel that now, that I'm not being watched. But what we don't realize is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala watches us just the same.
Yes.
We're under focus all the time. And it is important that, when we go back, we make a constant effort. It's just reminding yourself every day. Every day. That's why the Zohar prayer every day is breaking off from your work to go to renew your promise that you're going to be on that straight path. So I think that it's very important that one reminds oneself every day. And then once you can set an example for others, because one action is better than 1,000 words. Your family watches you, your friends watch you, and if you act nobly, properly, you care about people, I think that can be of huge benefit to Ummah, because really you really got to give that persona that that you really deeply care about people, because in today's day and age, it's number one, always number one. People don't care, and they really and people are so smart now. They see through you. They know whether you're sincere or not. So really, you have to be, and the big reward for you is not here; it's in the hereafter, because you're really trying to influence people. You're trying to set example to people, but sadly we have no role models.
Yeah, we should all be role models. All the Hujjaj, they're called Hajji such and such. They should be a role model.
But we expect others to be perfect.
Not ourselves.
And we always try to correct the others.
SubhanAllah.
If we all try to correct ourselves and put ourselves in order, and set those small examples, you can talk, you can give dawah to people, but I think most important is by setting those good examples, practical examples. Like when we're in the masjid and there's no space for anybody to sit, a new person comes in, you just move and give up your own space.
Yeah, like you did in Hajj, and like someone did at Hajj for you.
That is the impact that that it makes on people, and it's so easy and so simple, yet we make it so difficult for ourselves. It's not difficult at all. It's important that we put other people first, and that is so rewarding, so rewarding. You feel good afterwards. If you look at dunya, you also feel good because you've pleased somebody, you made somebody happy. But it doesn't cost anything. But majority of us find it so difficult to do.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. Brother Waleed, you're going to be with me continuing to share your personal reflections in the next segment. Sheikh Shabir, I want to take the time to thank you so much for your time, for being with us.
Thank you too.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you.
Nice.
My dear brothers and sisters, we are going to take a short break. Inshallah, when we come back, we'll try to have some phone calls from some of the shuyukh that were at Hajj this year, and we'll continue with Brother Waleed as he shares his personal reflections with us. Stay with us, inshallah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Wallahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Walillahil hamd.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May you have a blessed Eid, dear brothers and sisters and friends and all those watching. All praise is due to Allah. We have fasted the month of Ramadan, offered Qiyam prayer, recited the Quran, paid Zakatul Fitr, offered Eid prayer, and fulfilled all obligatory and voluntary acts of worship. May Allah accept our good deeds. Ameen. This is the day of Eid, and of course, all of us rejoice. To complete our happiness, be moderate and don't eat or drink extravagantly. Be God worshippers and don't be Ramadan worshippers.
Allah the Almighty says in the Quran, O children of Adam, take your adornment at every masjid and eat and drink, but be not excessive. Indeed, He likes not those who waste by extravagance.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Wallahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Walillahil hamd.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back, my dear brothers and sisters, to our final segment this evening as we continue our Hajj coverage. As we said, Hajj is technically over, but the lessons that we have learned during this Hajj season are definitely not over, and we have to implement them in our lives as Hujjaj who were there and who are making, they are on their way back right now to their home countries. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala return them safely. And all of us also who have watched the Hujjaj this year, even if we weren't amongst the lucky people to be there this year. I'm continuing my discussion right now with the brother Walid Khalil. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for continuing to be with us.
Thank you.
Barakallahu feek. I want to take a few minutes, if you want to tell me a little bit about your Hajj experience, right?
Sure.
The first question, obviously, mashallah, when you did Hajj, you were young and you still are young, mashallah. You said you did Hajj when you were about 24 or so. How does it feel as a young person, and what kind of message do you have for all the youth out there who are saying, you know what, I'm too young, for this, I'm going to wait till I'm a bit older, maybe in my 40s or 50s, and then I'll go?
I would say to the youths, life is too short, and we shouldn't think that, I'm too young and so, because we're not too young to go hellfire. And we'll be held accountable for everything we do with that, especially when you're a teenager. You're very, mashallah, hyperactive. So if the youths or anyone has the means to go, I would advise them to go, because where I come from the UK, a lot of the youths, get into this, gang-related relation, and and unfortunately the youths might, get caught up in it and die at a young age, and so on and so on. So not saying that every youth is part of gangs and whatever, but that's
no, but it definitely is a problem.
Is a problem
and
indeed.
Let's be honest, we're not talking about just youth in general. We're talking about youth even in Muslim communities.
Yeah.
And it's the same issue in the US.
Yeah. So I would advise the youths, if you go, it is a beautiful. When I went, one of the things that I found amazing was that we was coming down from the escalators from the masjid, the Haram, the one in Mecca. So I saw everyone stopping, and I'm thinking, why is everyone stopping at the escalators? I was at the top of the escalators, and people are stopping at the bottom.
Yeah.
It was no, it was the other way around. I was at the bottom, and the queue for the escalators going up was stopping. No one was going on it. And I saw these, subhanAllah, 7 African coming from Africa, West Africa, and they've never seen escalators in their life ever again, and they were hesitant to jump. They're thinking, what is this? What am I? And they're all like, oh, let's not go on this thing. What is this thing? And everyone is holding back because of they had never seen escalators before. And you know what, subhanAllah, so many people, coming from maybe third world countries and not exactly come from West and not having the best of income. People might save up for 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, and us coming from the West, we should, take the opportunity to go, regardless if you're old or young, because we can get the money.
Yeah, and easily. It's easier even to get a visa, right?
It's very easy. Like, for instance, some countries, you have to draw some type of lots, or not everyone gets to go. Some countries, you have to. There's even an age limit that you have to be over 25, under 50, and coming from the West, none of that stuff is a barrier for you. You can just go as long as you got the means to go.
Brother, we're talking about one of the pillars of Islam. We're not talking about a voluntary extra act.
That's exactly. I know people don't realize that is a pillar of Islam, that you've basically done everything else. You do pray, you believe in Allah, you give zakah, you fast, and you must just close it off with Hajj, inshallah, and and especially that if the reward is Jannah, what else do you want?
Yes.
You're getting two benefit. You've completed all your pillars, and inshallah, if it's accepted, Allah's gonna give you Jannah in return.
What do you say to youth, who say, I believe everything you're saying. I agree with it wholeheartedly, but guess what? I'm a young person. I know I'm going to sin a lot.
Yeah.
Right? So I want to, continue sinning for a few years until maybe I hit 40 or so.
Yeah.
And then, at that time I can go so I can repent for all the sins that I've done.
Wallahi, if that person can see the unseen and control, what's going to happen to him in the next couple of hours, and I would say, okay, keep on doing what you're doing, but I wouldn't advise that, because like I said earlier, life is too short. You don't know what's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
You understand? You can just leave your house, and you can just cross the road and a car can hit you. Like for instance, what incidents that happened to me, just off the topic. I was driving to the masjid one time to pray Taraweeh in the UK, and I'm going to the I'm on my way going to the mosque to to pray.
Yeah.
And a car hit me. I was crossing the junction, and a car hit my
the
car.
intersection, right?
Yeah. My car it was spinning basically. Anything could have happened to me, and you know what? Alhamdulillah, nothing happened to me, and I was going to do something khair.
Yeah.
Do you understand? I was on my way to do something good. So imagine if I was doing something that wasn't pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that was the last thing that I was doing, and and I'll be held accountable, because we don't know what's ever gonna happen to us, and when it's gonna happen to us, and how it's gonna happen to us. For example, the people that have unfortunately the habit of swearing.
Mm-hmm.
Say, for instance, you're crossing the road, and the car's about to hit you, and the last thing you say is, "Oh shit," and a car hits you, and the last thing you uttered was something foul. I'm just giving us a small example. And you know what? We shouldn't think, I'm young, and I'm young. I don't want to go Hajj. I want to sin, and this stuff. You should rather think that I'm young, and let me set an example to the community of my friends or family, and so on and so on. Especially if get the opportunity to go.
Yeah.
You understand? Because you never know.
Beautiful story. Great advice. Jazakallah khair. We're joined on the phone right now by Sheikh Shadi Sulaiman. Sheikh Shadi Sulaiman, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. Now that brothers and sisters are done with the Hajj journey, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, we're talking tonight about implementing the lessons that we have learned during this Hajj season, the many lessons, the countless lessons that we've learned in our daily lives when we go back to our masajid and to our Western communities. So we want to hear your thoughts, inshallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. Obviously, there's many lessons to learn from, whether the lesson of being a true slave to Allah, a person who fears Allah, or a lesson to learn that you are part of a great united ummah, or a lesson to learn to sacrifice, or a lesson to learn of the brotherhood, or many other lessons that we could learn from. But my main advice that we learn out of Hajj is that we should always remember that there is a Lord watching us, a Lord that is monitoring our actions. Always have full observation of what we do. And that's what Hajj is about, full submission to Allah and adherence to Allah, that we obey Allah and never disobey Him. Remember Allah and never forget Him. Always be with Allah and never neglect Him. The Hajj is about always reminding ourselves that we are slaves to Allah Almighty. We are the creation of the Creator. We are the servants of the King, Allah Azza wa Jal. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord has rights upon us. His rights upon us that we worship Him and never disobey Him. His rights upon us that we always remember Him and never forget Him. His rights upon us that we never ascribe any partners with Him. His rights upon us that we always never forget Him and neglect Him. In return, as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he said to Mu'adh, do you know the rights of Allah upon His servants and the servants of Allah, the rights upon Allah, the rights of Allah upon His servants that they worship Him and never associate partners with Him. And the rights of the servants of Allah upon Allah is that if they worship Him and not associate partners with Him, that Allah does not punish them. Allah is so great, Allah is so merciful. What would Allah Azza wa Jal benefit out of punishing us? Allah says in the Holy Quran, مَا يَفْعَلُ اللَّهُ بِعَذَابِكُمْ إِن شَكَرْتُمْ وَآمَنْتُمْ. Why would Allah punish you? Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punish you if you just worship Him and thank Him? So the Hajj teaches us that we are slaves of Allah, servants of Allah. Allah Azza wa Jal has rights upon us. And also the Hajj teaches us that we are part of a great ummah, an ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, an ummah that Allah Azza wa Jal had chosen to be the greatest ummah, a nation that Allah had chosen to be the greatest nation. We are part of this ummah, and we're all united, we're all brothers in Islam, regardless what backgrounds we come from, race we come from, nationalities that we come from, the difference of color of skin and languages that we come from. We are all at the end of the day servants of Allah, brothers. وَكُونُوا عِبَادَ اللَّهِ إِخْوَانًا, and be the servants and the slaves of Allah as brothers, as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says. So these are the great lessons that we learn from Hajj. And again, that's a simple, a reminder of what we learn from in the Hajj, but there's a lot more to be learned and there's a lot more to be spoken about.
Definitely.
And I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to accept the Hajj of all the Hujjaj,
Ameen.
and for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring them home safely to their families, forgiven and victorious, inshaAllah.
Ameen. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you so much, Sheikh Shadi Sulaiman, joining us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. Sheikh Shadi, mashallah, always giving us great knowledge, even though he is still very busy with the Hajj. But may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him for sharing his time with us, inshallah. May Allah reward him. Brother Walid, we only have a few minutes remaining. What would you say to a person who wants to go to Hajj but hasn't been working on it seriously? They're saying, okay, I definitely want to go to Hajj, but they're not taking the means to do so. They're not saving money. Even if it's just a couple $100s a month or even $50 a month or whatever the case may be, because it still does cost money. I know definitely technically it's cheaper than from people who have to save up for their whole lives. But what advice would you have for a person like that?
I would say, first of all, I would quote, which is probably one of my favorite verses of the Quran, is that whosoever fears Allah, Allah will make a way for him, and Allah will bring risk or provision from places or away from you couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
And subhanallah, I'll be honest with you, I did not save up a penny to go for Hajj. I just said to myself, Wallahi, Ya Allah, I just want to go Hajj this year. I'm willing to sell my car.
Subhanallah.
And my mom just called me out of the blue a couple of days later. I said, I want to go Hajj this year and I want you to take me. And she paid for everything.
Subhanallah.
And
because you were her mahram, right?
Naam. So I would, advise the person, just make the sincere intention to go, and inshallah just make that first step to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah will make the journey rest for you easy. And that's the best advice I can give. Just have the intention to go, and inshallah we don't know what's going to happen after that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's basically it.
Would you go again if you had the chance?
I would go again.
Why?
Because to get my sins wiped off, and plus in another beautiful hadith that was narrated by Ibn Abbas, not Ibn Mas'ud, that says, if you want to prevail or prevent you from poverty, go Hajj and Umrah.
Subhanallah.
So if you haven't, if
you
want
spend money for the sake of Allah to go to Hajj, so that you can make more money.
To stop
poverty, right?
Yeah, subhanallah.
Some other people may think the other way around. You're like, I'm going to save that money because I need it to buy this or that, and
to go
then
on holiday
later
or this or subhanallah. So you just have to have trust in Allah and just focus about the akhirah, and don't, unfortunately we are human beings and we do get caught up in the dunya and we get sidetracked and so on and so on. But at the end of the day, from Allah we came, and to Him we will return. But you want to return to Him when He's pleased with you, with all your sins wiped off, and the only way you can do that is not the only way, but there's 3 other ways of doing it, but one of them is Hajj.
Yeah.
And and it's a beautiful experience because you get to see the Ummah. And
how would a person know if his Hajj has been accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because everyone has that question, and I'm sure you had the same question.
I don't know. Only Allah knows that question, the answer to that question.
What are some signs, I guess?
What I heard, Allah Alam, they say that one of the things that, don't quote me for it, but one of the things that, might be accepted Hajj is that you still continue doing the righteous deed that you was doing while you was doing
definitely
Hajj.
And that's what we're talking about tonight, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole lesson that we're talking about
tonight.
tonight.
And make sure that, don't forget your purpose, why you went, and you're gonna come back basically as clean as a white sheet with no dots on it, no dirt, no nothing, inshallah. Pure everything, and trying to maintain it now, because
don't mess it up, right?
Don't mess it up, exactly. So trying to maintain it, and inshallah you don't know what's gonna happen to you after that. Like I said earlier, I had a person that went Hajj, same hotel room, everything, and he didn't even get there. He came all the way to Saudi, all the way to Mecca, all the way to the hotel room, ready to go, but he didn't get to go because, he got inflicted with, diarrhea. Subhanallah. So, alhamdulillah, I got the opportunity to go, and inshallah the people that went, inshallah, you know, try and maintain it, keep it up, inshallah.
Yeah.
It's all about striving. That's what we're here to strive, and you know, it's going to be a challenge, and you know, paradise doesn't come easy, and you know, the path to paradise is, you know, hardship and test and so on and so on, and you know, but we have to hold on, you know.
Jazakallah khair. Barakallah feek. We're joined by Brother Basil Khan from Canada. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How are you doing this evening, brother?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing okay.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Now that the Hajj season...
It's actually afternoon time here, but that's all right.
You're where?
It's afternoon time in Toronto right now.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Well, evening time where we are. And as you know, the Hajj season is over, and the Hujjaj are coming on their way back. And we want to know, what are we doing? What are we doing as Hujjaj who are coming back? How can we implement the lessons that we've learned, not only during the days of Hajj, but also in our lives and when we go back to our communities in the West?
Yes. I mean, I think to get down to the basics and fundamentals, just to reflect on the sacrifice that Ibrahim alayhi salam was going to do. So this is the thing that I want to stress.
Go ahead.
Which really is reflective of following the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and putting your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing that the outcome will be in favor of us, in the dunya and the akhirah. So I hope that is I hope that's clear to Muslims, because sometimes we are faced something. We may not see faced with a commandment or obligation. We may not see the benefit of it, but it does have benefits in the dunya and the akhirah.
Definitely.
Especially in the akhirah.
Definitely. Jazakallah khair. Brother Basil Khan joining us from Canada. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for your thoughts and for your comments. Barakallah feek. Brother Wadid, mashallah, shared a lot of great advice with us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for your time. I'd like to thank you for being with us, and hope to see you again on future programs here, inshallah. Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. My dear brothers and sisters, we hope that this coverage of Hajj this year was of benefit for all of you. This concludes, technically, our Hajj coverage, but it does not conclude the coverage that all of us should have in our daily lives, the daily coverage that we should have by implementing the lessons that we have all learned from Hajj. Whether you are one of the lucky people who went to Hajj this year, or you are one of the people who watched the Hujjaj this year, all of us can definitely benefit from the lessons learned during Hajj and implement them in our lives and in our communities when we go back home, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan, barakallahu feekum. The new Islamic year is coming up very soon, inshallah. We'll see you again on some special coverage during that, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, when we approach the new Islamic year, 1,435 years after the hijrah of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, which is the new Islamic year. Jazakumullahu khairan. Have a good evening. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.